feel nothing at all.
From the very beginning, this fight was an overwhelmingly positive spectacle. It arose out of frustration and some aggressive negotiation tactics, but it was rooted in the idea of charity. McGregor and Poirier were planning a fight for December 12th in Dublin, competing with the UFC's card on the same day. The proceeds would be going to various foundations. But with both men on board, the UFC went about scheduling the fight in the Octagon for January. But the charity theme was constant throughout, and part of a growing trend of philanthropy in the sport.
So a goal of mine with the charity that we haven't moved on yet because we need big funding would be to open a gym on in the side of town that I grew up on and have a youth combat club there. Just something to get the kids off the streets.
The build-up was in stark contrast to the first one, where McGregor humiliated Poirier verbally. One of the great things about the rematch was that we got to hear in detail from Dustin what it was like to come through the tornado that was Conor McGregor in 2014. He said he felt like the fans were against him, the company was against him, the whole world was against him. And they were. I can't find it now, but I'm pretty sure there was a clip from one of the embeddeds where Dana was giving Conor a foot massage, while Lorenzo was feeding him grapes. It was all very cozy. They didn't try to hide their excitement with the prospect of McGregor mania. Their enthusiasm turned out to be absolutely warranted. But from Poirier's perspective, they were Team McGregor.
I felt like I was fighting everybody. I felt like the UFC was against me. And
I think before doubt and critics and Conor talking all that shit just kind of creeped into my being. But now I know who I am.
Poirier felt like the fans in the crowd were there to see him lose. And this played into a larger theme in his life of odds being stacked against him and people counting him out and doubting him. He was angry and emotional. He was carrying a lot in the cage that night. He admits the fans affected him. The fight was a tough lesson for Poirier. I've just heard it over and over again from a young age. Teachers, police officers, correctional officers. I was just one of those guys getting in trouble. I wouldn't turn in anything. I wouldn't end up being anything great. Even going back to the McGregor fight, like I said, being championed against in that bout, and everybody saying I was gonna lose.
felt like I was too emotional in there. I let anger blind me. I let my emotions get the best of me. I just cared too much about what everybody was thinking and everybody was saying and writing and what he was saying. Well, he was just, insulting my family, insulting me, and I was a young fighter and I took everything very, very serious.
He felt he got used as a launch pad. He toiled away in the trenches, fighting a series of wars against the conveyor belt of the best fighters lightweight had to offer, while McGregor became one of the biggest sports superstars on the fucking planet.
Recognize your real dog when you see one. Recognize your real dog when you see one. Recognize your real dog when you see one. Recognize your real dog when you see one.
In the lead up to the rematch, one of the questions Poirier was repeatedly asked was, how will this fight be different? And he gave answers like growth and patience.
For sure, my skill set, 6 years at the toughest, in the toughest division, at the highest level of the sport, you're going to have to evolve and continue to get better. But also my patience, just maturity as a fighter and a man.
Poirier described how his life is now about more than fighting. He's got a lot going on. One of the themes I don't think we've ever explored before was a theme of hot sauce. Any condiments, really.
Maybe you can help him with the distribution deal for the hot sauce.
Of course, no problem. I gotta taste it first though. I don't put my name to something unless it's the proper, you know what I mean? Unless it's the finest.
Even though Poirier's now a better fighter, the fight game doesn't have the same significance, and he doesn't give the fans the same power over his emotions. He's got more important things in his life, and that takes off a lot of the pressure.
But this is still my main thing, fighting. I've said this 100 times before, but I'm a father, a husband, a business owner, an entrepreneur, a son, a brother. I got so many hats, man, and fighting is just one of them. It's something that takes most of my time. It's something that I'm most dedicated to because I know the benefits it has for everyone around me. So I'm 100% invested in this, but at the same time, it's not who I am anymore. That I was only fighting back then. Now this is just something I do. I put everything into it. I hope for the best. I bust my ass. I believe in myself, but this is just a fight.
Poirier's also had bigger fights in terms of personal significance.
Is this stage greater for you than UFC 242?
It's obviously a huge fight, but fighting for the world title is the biggest fight you can get to me because that's the reason I fight. I want to.
Looking back on your UFC experience, is there one fight, is there one outcome that you look at as being the one you're most proud of?
There's so many, highs of looking back in my career, beating
Max Holloway in Atlanta for the interim championship while he was a current featherweight champion was huge to me, you know?
In terms of emotional investment, this fight just didn't seem like an overly stressful burden to bear. All Poirier wanted was to get through the media obligations and to find out who the better man is in 2021.
That's it. I mean, fighting is so transparent. Under those lights, there's no peacocking. You know, there's no fluffing up and acting a certain way. It's the truth. The truth will come out. Whatever fighter you are, whatever skill set you have, your preparation, whatever is going to show in that 15 or 25 minutes. And when I said that I want a war, I just want the fight to play out, and I want it to come down to who's the more skilled fighter and who's more committed to this. That's what I meant by that. I want this to be a test for both of us. I want it to hurt both of us. I want it to be uncomfortable for both of us. And I want to show you guys again that I'm willing to suffer more than these guys, that I'm willing to push harder and bleed more, that I can trust me. I love it.
In numerous ways, the two were on similar wavelengths. There was a lot of talk of family and fatherhood.
Most importantly, a father.
Of course.
You didn't mention that one. I'm very proud of that, and that's taught me a lot in life and bettered me.
As far as this one being a lot more respectful in this, we're more mature, myself and Dustin. We're both fathers and we've come through a lot.
Both men discussed how life is a lesson.
But I've learned a lot of lessons. You know, I took some L's after that. I've got a lot of W's. They were all lessons. I'm a better fighter, more well-rounded, more patient, more mature.
I've gone through some heinous things, Ariel, against me, you know, and it's been beyond tough, you know, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, you know, what doesn't break you makes you, and that's it. There was times I was at my absolute end, you know, but I held firm. I had my family around me, I had my team around me, and of course I had the support of my fans, and that were just keeping me in there. And, you know, life is a lesson, you know, and it's take all the lessons and move forward, and it's certainly shaped me into a better individual, and I'm thankful for that.
Poirier felt he was offered as a sacrificial lamb and had to pick himself up off the mat multiple times in his career. McGregor has battled his own demons lately and seems to be a legitimately changed man. So there was some gravity to those statements.
We live, we learn, we try not to make the same mistakes twice, and we work hard at getting better, and that's what it is.
Poirier reflected on the importance of charity, and McGregor echoed his sentiments, pledging $500,000 to Dustin's foundation.
I believe it's important for a man as he matures to recognize the situation and position he's in, and that he put himself in. And to each his own. I'm not saying everybody should do it, but if you have it in your heart and you're in position to be a voice for people whose voice isn't heard, or to be a representative of something better, you know, it transcends fighting. And we're all fighting something. So it means a lot to me personally. I can't speak for anyone else.
I'm very, you know, when I see what Dustin has been doing with his charity and his wife and himself and, you know, the Good Fight Foundation, I'm very excited to be able to help with that. And there's talk of them building a gym off of the back of this fight, and, you know, I'm very excited about that. And all the power to them, and this is what it should be about. It is our duty in this world to give back. That is it, you know. I'm very happy to share the octagon with Dustin, who is also of the same mindset, you know. So similar with Donald, there will be blood spilled, but it will not be bad blood.
Just like the cowboy fight, everything seemed to be going perfectly. He'd never felt better. He was living a clean lifestyle and off the booze. You know, sometimes retrospectively, you can go back and see signs that things weren't exactly right. But really, all signs from McGregor were that he was dialed in and totally rigorous in his preparation.
It has been the greatest camp, the greatest weight transition I've ever endured, you know, and it's not even enduring. I'm embracing it. My frame is light. I'm a true lightweight frame now. I'm zippy. I'm fast. I'm powerful. You know, I have not only maintained strength, I've actually gone up in strength and power. Once you're fully committed, things are easy. It's that simple. Hard things become easy when you commit yourself fully, and that's what I've done. Fully focused. I am just faster. I am sharper. I am more, you know, mentally tuned in. It's me in fast forward.
Poirier wanted a war. He wanted both men to suffer and the tougher man to emerge victorious.
And when I said that I want a war, I just want the fight to play out, and I want it to come down to who's the more skilled fighter and who's more committed to this. That's what I meant by that. I want this to be a test for both of us. I want it to hurt both of us. I want it to be uncomfortable for both of us. And I want to show you guys again that I'm willing to suffer more than these guys, that I'm willing to push harder and bleed more.
Conor invited a war, but he expected to rip Poirier in two like a wet newspaper.
I'd actually love that. I would actually relish a war with Dustin. So if he can withstand the shots and get it popping, let's get it going. Let's stand in there and let's fight. So I just foresee my shots landing early, and that's it.
A lot of the emphasis was on experience and octagon time. I tended to lean the other way. I thought Poirier's been in all those dogfights, and McGregor, who looked ferocious after his last layoff, is a devastating striker with surgical precision. I thought Conor was going to bash the fuck out of his ass. But that didn't happen. The fight began with Conor walking Poirier down. He was in a rush. Both guys were landing solid shots right away. Poirier got a takedown, but McGregor got back to his feet. Conor looked good in the clinch, and over the course of the first round, did outstrike Poirier. But Poirier had been hacking away at those legs, and continued doing so in the second round. Eventually, after being rocked himself, the leg kicks paid dividends. And in a fashion reminiscent of a number of Conor's finishes, Poirier trapped him against the fence, mashed him up, and bashed the fuck out of his ass. Conor went down like a sack of potatoes, and all of a sudden, these guys were one apiece. McGregor had a tough time with the loss. He was clearly devastated.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, John. You know, it's hard to take. Not a mark on the head. I'm just bleeding gutted, man. I'd rather a lumping, you know what I mean, instead of a bleeding dead leg.
You know, some people felt he was offering an excuse coming out talking about inactivity. But actually, Conor was singing the exact same tune before the fight.
Competition is what I'm after here. You know, good competition, get my full sharpness. Although I have been having behind closed doors competitions that I've been having full on fights in, so it's not like my sharpness is not there, but you know, under those lights, it is slightly different. So I just want to be kept busy. I want competition.
In keeping with the tone of the whole thing, he again reflected on the positives.
Right now, are you happy that you just got to compete?
I am happy. I'm disappointed, and but I'm happy for sure. Like I got to come out here and do this fight here in the Middle East, put on a show for the people. I done my best, and things don't go your way at times, but pick yourself up and carry on. I'm gonna go back and enjoy my kids, have fun. It's morning here. It's you know what I mean. I'm gonna still do my thing, have me proper Irish coffee, have me pancakes, go back to the yacht. We have a child on the way this summer. There's a lot of good in my life, and I'll be smiling and I'll be happy, and that's it.
One of the things Poirier mentioned was that Conor didn't have the same aura. He later rephrased this as Conor had the same aura, but he didn't let it get to him.
That first one was so long ago, but I felt maybe that's just my growth too. I felt his presence less, like his aura less. I just saw another fighter tonight. I think that first time I was kind of deer in the headlights, you can say. This time I was just fighting another man.
I don't think it was something that he didn't have coming into this fight. I just think it's something that I didn't put energy into and recognize like I did the first time.
But I don't think Conor has the same aura lately. He's still charismatic, but he's not a single-minded lunatic leading a horde of fans all sharing in the same frenzied mania. Maybe Khabib put manners on him. Maybe his antics outside the cage have changed his attitude. Or as Poirier suggested, becoming a father possibly led McGregor to some personal development. It's likely a combination of all three, but the net result is that he doesn't have the same killer instinct in those verbal and psychological exchanges. I don't think McGregor could have manipulated Poirier's mind like it was made out of clay this time, but Dustin admits it is somewhat significant that he no longer even tries.
It made it an easier process, but that's all noise to me too. Like I didn't play too much into it. I know my manager did a little bit. Me and Conor both been doing this long enough to where we can shake hands and then try to kill each other the next day, and I knew that's what it was going to be.
This current humble version of Conor, he's more admirable in ways. He'd be a much better role model, but he seems far less likely to crush fighters' morale in a build-up. He's a different man, and outside maybe Gaethje, or possibly Nate, that's very likely what his future opponents will be facing. A man, not the phenomenon, with all the added pressure, nothing personal, no crowds cheering as they're being mocked. Now with Poirier stopping him with strikes, his aura as both a fighter and a force in nature seemed diminished. He now represents a much more forgiving media whirlwind, and I'd imagine a considerably less daunting prospect for future opponents.
I was very emotional in that first one. I wanted to hurt the guy.
Tonight is one of the best I've ever felt, honestly. I was emotionless, I was an assassin, and I was here to execute. You know, I was locked in, man, locked and loaded. I felt nothing.
There is one area McGregor never disappoints. You know, there's that old saying, show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. If you're able to be gracious in defeat, all it means is that you didn't want the victory enough. But MMA has shown us time and time again that it's the exact opposite. Show me a good loser, and I'll show you someone who can salvage a meaningful victory from a crushing defeat. We've seen it many times. Dominic Cruz, Demetrius Johnson, TJ Dillashaw.
I did not lose.
And Conor is just a phenomenal loser. He congratulated Dustin and didn't make any excuses outside the legitimate issue of ring rust. Despite the obvious devastation, he was gracious in defeat, to an impressive degree.
It is what it is. He fought a hell of a fight, and that's it. What can you do? I'm happy for him. It's the whole shebang, you know what I mean? But I have no excuses here. It was a phenomenal performance by Dustin. Yeah, you know, I'll certainly regroup. I'll regroup and pick myself up, you know what I mean? Get up off the floor and go again, and that's it.
You know, he got knocked down, and it happens to all of us. And this guy's a champion, and the ground is no place for a champion. I've said it again.
I saw a good line in a book recently that said, acceptance is more a matter of fatigue than anything else. And there can definitely be some truth to that. Now, if you fuck something up, something unforeseen impacts or redirects your life, somebody wrongs you, or you wrong someone else in a way that's completely irreparable. Whatever it is, you know, you can spend a long time torturing yourself over the details. Why or how the fuck did this happen? At times, going around in circles can just wear you the fuck out. You think, there's no answer to this. There's no thinking my way out of this one. So sometimes fatigue does play a role, and you eventually just accept, okay, this is my new reality, and all I can do is live with it. That quote describes Poirier's relationship and attitude towards the media. I mean, the guy got a baptism by fire. He ran into a tornado, got swept up and shredded. Most of the MMA world celebrated his loss. If you listen to Poirier discussing that whole aspect of MMA, he's tired of it. Everyone's got something stupid to say. Every person can weigh in. He can get tagged in tweets. People talking shit all over the fucking place. Articles going up. You know, videos like this. Everyone has a voice. And over the years, the whole thing just seemed to wear him the fuck out. Now, his attitude could best be described as a sort of reluctant, jaded acceptance of the reality of his profession.
And I care less. I care less about what you think, what they think, what anybody thinks, what Conor thinks. I care less about that stuff. So the noise is, you know, muted a little bit. And the chaos that goes on in your head pre-fight and the lead up to the fight, you know, I just cared what everybody said, and no, I don't care. You know, talking nice or talking, and also at this point in my career, I don't really care about that stuff. You know, I'm not a young kid anymore who's reading the headlines and caring what critics are saying or go and check Twitter to see if Conor said something that day. When I was young, I would do that, you know, and I don't really, it's just noise now. I mean, this is a love. As long as I've been doing it, and at the level I've been doing it at, it's a love-hate relationship, no doubt about it. The only part I love is the actual fight itself. All this other stuff, I'm just really starting to, I don't know if I say despise, but I'm just really starting to not enjoy the process at all. Fighting is the only thing I like about this.
But there is another factor outside fatigue. You know, there'd be a great symmetry to his career if Poirier had come out and said it happened to be this fight where he finally laid to rest the critics who had burrowed their way into his mind over the years. It'd be fitting. The first Conor fight was where the criticisms that had plagued his childhood were amplified and most devastating. But Poirier never put that type of significance on his fight. Instead, it was his win over Max. Holloway was on an incredible streak. He was a champion, and it was for a belt. One of Dustin's comments that struck his mother was the following. He told me, "Nobody can ever tell me I'm a loser ever again." He put his arms around me and said, "I'm not a nobody, because I'm somebody tonight." So when he got a piece of the lightweight belt, that seemed to finally close the coffin of many of those demons.
I've overcome adversity so many times. Everybody out there, there's people telling you can't do it, or you're the underdog, or you're championed against, or telling you told you're not good enough. I've been told that my whole life, and I'm the world champ. If I can do it, you can do it.
Now, he doesn't seem to give a single solitary fuck about that whole aspect of the sport.
That's something that I guess you might have to go through. For me, I had to go through it to realize how much I was caught up in it. You know, I didn't feel like the first fight, I didn't feel like I was fighting Conor. I felt like I was fighting the UFC. I felt like I was fighting the media, the fans, the critics, the people in the stands. I felt like it was me against the world when I walked into the octagon the first time. And it's not that. Of course, the pressure's still on me to keep the victories going, to keep the streak alive, to fight for the belt again. All that stuff's always weighing on me. But at this point in my career, man, I'm just happy and comfortable with who I am, and that's it. You know, I don't want a lighter load. I want a stronger back at this point in my career.
So, McGregor may not have been the most personally significant win of Poirier's career, but it was a perfect opportunity for him to show the world that his growth and general indifference to public opinion weren't just words. Poirier mentioned that he entered the arena to booze, but he left the arena to cheers. You know, we've heard this before. A lot of fighters wear that as the ultimate badge of honor. I was so goddamn good inside that cage that even those hateful motherfuckers couldn't help but love me. But Poirier didn't see it like that. In his view, inside 10 minutes, he illustrated exactly what he feels is wrong with the fans. They're fickle. They can change their tune in a matter of minutes. The whims of the crowd are often fleeting, and he now feels it's futile to invest his energy in something as slippery as being the latest fan favorite. He's beyond that. Fighting is now just something he does. There's more significant and meaningful things in his life. So despite all the buzz and his skyrocketing profile, in the immediate aftermath, Poirier was basically nonchalant and wanted nothing more than to slide out of the spotlight and return to those things he's learned to value most.
It's been, I fought one time last year, and there was no fans, so it's been a while since I got booed. It's been a while since I walked out to boos. I walked back to the locker room with cheers, though. I heard that. So I heard the boos on the entry, and I heard the cheers on the exit, and that's exactly what a lot of these MMA fans are, fair weather. So that's why I don't hold that stuff close to me, you know, it doesn't mean anything.
Till the pain is so big you feel nothing at all.
Man, I've had so many highs and lows in this sport. It's just another night, really. I'm happy with it, but life goes on, man, and that's it. You know, you can't be. I'm very happy. You know, I'm very happy to get my hand raised, and in that fashion, I know the guy's never been knocked out, so that's huge. But I just want to get home to my daughter.
A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be.
I'm taking her up on a snow trip in a couple weeks, and I'm just back to being dad.